Welcome again. Good afternoon. We're fired up. I'm excited about this week. We're at home, don't have to travel, an opportunity, to compete and to improve and to, once again, see where we're really at. We get to defend the Dome this weekend. That's something I'm really looking forward to, being back here in Fargo. Reflecting on Colorado, obviously there's a bunch of things there would be if we would have lost that we need to improve on, that we need to focus on. We've been doing that since Monday. We had a unique schedule with it being a Thursday game, and so we've been attacking those things that kept us away from winning. And I'm here to say that I think we were in control of that. A couple things really bit us in the butt, and we got to get cleaned up. But there's also things that we recognize as a staff that we did really well. Things that we can leverage moving forward, things that we have to leverage moving forward that can create an edge versus future opponents, and things that, our core principles, our core values of ours and how we want to play. Not that I was proud, but I was excited to see, those things were on display as well. And Bison Nation got to see, a glimpse of what this team can be. I think it's an exciting opponent. Back-to-back weeks, you get to see another, potential Hall of Fame coach. I just think that's unique in itself. Eddie George was, a tough, talented guy. I love watching the Titans and Ravens play. I don't know if it necessarily was when I was growing up, but recognize that those games are big battles, and I'm looking forward to meeting him. They have a great staff with a lot of experience, stemming from the NFL to Division II, but there's a lot in between there with their staff, and they've got some experienced guys. I think it's going to be neat. Seth Hessness did a good job when he was here. I'm excited to see him again. Seth fought like crazy to be part of this thing, and is so happy that he got his first full-time opportunity. And then someone that I hope, I impacted while we were at Iowa together, Dylan Chimera is the offensive line coach, but it'll be good to see those two guys. Tennessee State beat Mississippi Valley State last week 41-21. And I just, listening to Eddie's press conference and kind of being aware through people, talking to Dylan as they were going through the process of the new offense there and those kind of things, I appreciate what they're preaching. It's doing things the right way. He's culture-based. He's core value-based. And so I'm excited to not only compete against these guys, but get a chance to see those guys again and obviously meet Eddie George. We fought and wrestled with some things as far as, our personnel goes that we're going to get questions on here. But the bottom line is each and every one of us needed to be better last week in order to beat Colorado. And I think that we did come up short and left some opportunities out there. And I know that you guys are going to have some questions on that. And then I really look forward to moving forward and answering questions about Tennessee State. I'll open it up now.
The viewership numbers came out on Friday. I think it peaked at 5.5 million viewers for NDSU in Colorado. What does it mean for you to get that kind of exposure for the program?
Well, it's just awesome. Down to the littlest thing of people seeing our brand and our colors and, how we operate and, our following, right? There's moments in the game I kept looking up there and it felt like the whole side was North Dakota State fans. And, that's Bison Nation, and that's what I anticipated, I guess, throughout the summer, just running into people. The viewership says a lot, too, about, Colorado and where they're at and what Deion Sanders has done for their program and their university. Some of the numbers that he was rattling off and their improvement. And so it was really good to be part of, really disappointing to come away with a loss.
So with personnel, does that mean changes anywhere?
Well, yeah, just, we're, constantly, I think early in the season, it's important that we get a chance to play as many guys as possible. I think, with some of the guys that I've coached under, I thought one guy was really good at that. Are we sure we've got the right people in the right place? And, so just making sure that we met on those things. And, coaches had to fight for what they believed in. And that's kind of where I was going with that. I wanted to lead into this question and that answer. And we've done that. And we also, in some areas, we've got what we've got. So we've got to, as coordinators and head coaches, say, hey, what are we capable of executing? And then Let's get them to execute that, and then maybe as time goes on, we can add. And I don't think any of those things, like too much scheme or too many things up, caused any issues on last Thursday, but I want us to be really aware of that. We got to give our players the best chance to go out there and execute.
Safety, one of those positions you're.
Yeah, I think safety, we're taking a deeper dive. I think one of the things offensively that's different than 10 years ago is we do give our defense a chance to see a little bit of spread, to see potential tempo. We did 2-minute enough, but I think even Cole during the game, he was commenting on what he was seeing visually and that experience level. We're gonna maybe have to just work through that. It just needs to start happening right now in game 2. We need to see some of that improvement. But Darius, Sam Young. And then most certainly Ryan Jones. Those are the group of guys that have taken the bulk of the 1 and 2 reps, and then we'll get Jalen back here at some point, I think sooner than later. But the reality is, and I probably won't bring up his name again, Cole Wisniewski's not coming back. And so we just have to continue to believe in teaching and improvement like it's been done so many times around here before, and we just have to do a good job with that.
About Bryce Lance, very excited about him last week.
Yeah.
What'd you make of his first big game like this?
What do you have? 3 catches? I'm sorry. I was thinking about the other opportunity he had on the goal ball. He actually got behind, a Colorado corner. I know there's been a lot written about their skill and so forth, and Bryce got behind him, and we just happened to not put that particular throw, one of our 6 incompletions on the spot. Pretty excited for him. I wish he had more opportunities in live tackling as far as catching that shallow route and getting straight vertical, and then also on his carry. He can maybe be just a little bit more aggressive to the edge, but those are some things that are going to cultivate, going to come to fruition when he gets the opportunities.
Duffy earn any more of a look in the second half last week?
Yeah, I think, I don't have the rep count on me, but it wasn't most certainly that unbalanced. Anthony played the most, and then Shep slid into nickel at times, and that provided Duffy some opportunity. But to your point, I'm excited about that kid. I actually put my arm around him on Monday and said, hey, I watched the TV copy twice by the time I showed up to the facility here, right? And I was not only with Duffy, but I was impressed with all of our guys. Chin up, chest out. We were fighting, and we were in that thing, and we had a good look about us. And he got beat on a couple of plays, but, man, his demeanor and his intent was right, and so therefore I'm excited about those competitive plays that he missed on.
Another quarterback that likes to throw the ball, Draylen Ellis, over 300 yards. What have you been hearing from the defense to shore up the back end on, those broken plays where someone gets behind you guys?
It's much different. Stats, I know we take it black and white and we look at the numbers here and there. Colorado dropped back and threw, like I thought they would. Drop back pass, like the old days. 1, 2, 3, hitch and throw. As much as we'll see in 3 or 4 other games in the future here. What I mean by that, this guy is all RPO. It's all screen. Even third downs, they're not afraid to throw screens and to keep it, really, 1, 2, ball out type stuff. And that's where he's really effective and accurate, is anytime that they're in, split the field concepts, where it's, if you get this, you're playing left. If you get this, you're playing right. This kid is accurate. He's capable, has a good arm. I respect him. What we got to do is make it, sticky, right? 3rd and 8 and 9, where those types of concepts maybe aren't as good as full field progressions, and then see if he can do that. And I'm excited about that. This guy's a talented guy. He threw for 350, and I think 5 or 6 of their big plays of 9 were on RPO type plays where it was a slant route or a glance route behind counter. That takes care of the box. Here's a one-on-one, and he delivered. So you got to respect that. But it's a much different presentation. I mean, it's not drop back. It's not 4 vertical. It's not 3 vertical, and them trying to push the ball downfield or into the second level as often as Colorado did.
Any injuries keeping anybody out? Kubit's kind of hobbled.
Yeah, injury update. Nothing like significant that's come across my desk where, hey, it's a surgery, they're out. I'm not, haven't been abreast of any of that. We've got a couple guys that missed yesterday that I think are going to be available and be strong. Kubis had a laceration, a big cut. And so the stitches will need time to take place, and he'll be out there. But on the other hand, Kubitz hit 20 miles per hour, .5 during the game. And so I thought our legs, and there were some questions about altitude and all this. We had several guys who were running top-notch throughout the game, and so a lot of credit goes to Coach Kramer on that as well. 20 miles per hour, yeah.
You talked about some of the new guys. What did you make of Griffin Empey and kind of the remade offensive line?
Yeah, right? Like, this has got to be a back and forth all year, and I'm looking forward to it. I really embrace the media and the questions, right? But a lot of uncertainty. There was a lot of questions. Well, what are you guys going to do, right? Like, man, I thought those guys fought in pass protection specifically, especially the first half. I mean, going into this thing, okay, getting coached by Warren Sapp, the body types, the stars, those guys all, they're first class in pass rush typically. But it was a combination of them giving us speed rushes and us being able to play with great effort in pass pro. Again, I keep thinking of the term proud. I'm not proud. I'm just excited to see them improve because I thought they did a pretty good job. Now, in the run game, I thought them, being in situations where they were gapped out, meaning they could hit their fits and shoot pull the trigger pretty quick. I think we have to be a little bit better with our eyes, coming off double teams and being really physical on the second level. So we can improve there. But all in all, Fraley and Empey getting their first start, I thought Gray Zabel looked like a pro. I think he helped himself, last Thursday. I mean, that's a big one for the people to look at. And he was pretty darn productive and dominant. And then I thought Mason Miller, needs to clean up a couple things technically, but did a really good job for the most part of keeping the width of the pocket.
Did you roll with almost the same five majority of the game? Was it just the flow of what you saw up there?
No, I think, gosh, you guys know I'm an O-line type of person. We've always talked about wanting to play 7 or 8. It might be just a little bit more where we're at right now. I can comment, though, man, Bo keeps getting better. I'm not sure him and, a couple other guys aren't just in the dogfight to see who's the next up. And then we can slide. Mason's played a lot at guard. I think right now, we want to do what we can to cultivate depth and so forth, but that just wasn't the setting for it and the type of game it was, especially the way the first half went. You know what I mean? Like it was third down conversions and stuff like that. It was pretty back and forth. It's just probably the way it went down. But honestly, I think that was Dan's inclination going in.
Johnson, the right tackle, then?
Yeah, Bo potentially. I mean, he's doing a good job. I think he's consistent in his performance. Now the performance has to be better, but the first step for him was just starting to be a consistent, not a worker. Our guys all work really hard, but getting the job done.
Coach, you're getting ready for your first game in the Fargo Dome. As the head coach, what goes through your mind knowing that this is home to you now and you're back on the sidelines?
Just, terms like we gotta, we need, shouldn't really be used in the coaching world. Because then over here, you got to talk about overcoming adversity. That happens almost in every game, right? I'm excited to see if we can hit the standard. How well can we play? And then if adversity does strike, can we leverage home field, right? And our fans get behind us and they push us forward. It's awesome. I mean, I'm as excited as I was last week, somewhere between excited, what are the concerns, trying to figure that out in the first game. I had a hard time sleeping last night thinking about that. I'd really like for us to prepare really well, the same as we did last week. Go out there, respect what it takes to win, do the little things correctly, but have fun out there and go play and leverage this great fan base.
How important is it for this week of preparation, getting ready for a kind of return to normal game flow, getting to play at home on a Saturday, just kind of getting settled into the normal routine here? How important is this week for that?
It's interesting because our team meeting Monday, if you win that game, right, man, you start worrying about, okay, here we go. We got to be humble and we got to stay, eating crumbs, got to be allergic to the big meal, all those things that I've kind of said in the past. But, we talked a lot about that. There's 6 days of Saturday every Saturday. And there's a certain way to respect this game, number one, and respect your opponent and respect what it takes to win. And we have to start establishing and maintain our routines throughout the week. Each and every guy's got to watch the same amount of film, whoever we're playing. Each and every coach has got to prep the same way. On Sundays, we're working 9 hours for every opponent this year. We're not working 12 for the big games. All right, do our work, move on, but it's got to be consistent. And that's the thing. That was the message that we sent, along with, practice with great intent. Whenever we've been great here, we've been a great practice operation. And then the third thing I encourage you guys to do is let's enjoy this journey. Respect the process, but go out there, have great connection at practice, respect your coaches, and then enjoy your teammates. That's what this thing's all about.
Well, like personnel stuff, do you anticipate changes in the starting lineup, or is it more rotating guys in for reps?
No, we had a discussion. Okay, I was really pointed about making sure that we have discussions so that we're always open to any option, right? And then, who do we need to push up? We've got 8 reps on 8 reps today, 3rd and 4 to 6. NDSU on NDSU, right? Okay, who are the guys that we need to keep pushing to the top that maybe haven't been out there that much? That's, there's a couple positions that I think, as we get healthier, right? Running back being one of them. Safety as we get healthier can improve. But I think I'm excited for those guys to see how they bounce back. Linebacker, we played the 4 guys, and I think we've got 2 more that can play. I thought on special teams we flew around. That's kind of all-encompassing, that conversation. Where did they show up? Who showed up? Who can help us? What are plans moving forward?
Any idea of Travis Hunter's MPH on film?
Oh, boy. No, but you can look it up on Pro Football Focus. Those guys he's got to be a 21-mile-per-hour guy. Middle, high 4.3. I don't know, middle 4.3s. He's pretty good. I'd like to see his load, his workload. That would be impressive.
Do you anticipate Rika's workload being roughly the same, kind of a game time decision, right?
Oh, yeah. Yep. Did we anticipate his workload what it was? Yeah, no, I hope he goes out there and competes this week to be a guy that carries it 25 times. Him, Marty, TK, game on. And we've had a discussion about that. I'll keep it to me right now, and hopefully in 3 or 4 weeks you can bring that question up again. And you guys know where I'm coming from on this topic. And I can tell you this: one thing that's going to get valued at a real high level is yards after we get touched. Okay, because I'm not real interested in the yards that the O-line blocks for. Okay, it really comes down to what playmakers make plays when somebody touches them. It's yards after contact, not yards after catch that we value. And that's being charted.
You said after the game that you'd like to see more explosive plays, obviously. Yeah. Was that more on you guys, or was that more on what they were doing defensively, or?
No, it was probably a little bit like, man, they hit some explosives. Where were ours? It's kind of how I was feeling at the time. When I got upstairs Sunday and got with the offense, we had 11 big plays. How they charted 12-plus runs, 15. I said, I want to know how many 20-yard plays we had based on what I said in the press conference, right? I think just can we kick up out of one tackle? I think Marty was close. It was his first game action. He seemed to find yards where there wasn't yards and ran tough. Like Braylon's play, for an example, right? Cam, 1, 2, early in the first half. And we get a bunch of yards after catch, and I told Braylon, I said, you got to find a way to score. It's like making that ordinary play extraordinary is kind of where I'm coming from, and I probably will stay on that soapbox for a minute. We need to be better.
You got here when Donovan Woolen arrived. Tell me about what his progress. He was dressed when we went to Colorado. Why has he progressed so far that he just got here and could potentially play?
Yeah, you guys asked a great question last week, right? And I totally forgot to mention Donovan about the freshman, right? Who could potentially, he seems and feels like almost like a complete second-year player to me. Donovan's a guy that's sitting behind an older guy right now, but continues to put pressure. Maybe that would have been a better answer to your question, Eric. But intelligent, bright-eyed. Parents did an unbelievable job. Got a chance to meet them after the game. You're just talking about a guy that's thinking right and doing the right things, that gives him a chance to improve. And then, 6'2" kid that's a good athlete. And so we're just super excited about his future. I felt so bad about not mentioning his name last week. That was the first thing I said to his mom, after the game. We value this guy. and I think he's got a bright future in our program.
A few adjustments to the game day atmosphere, like the walk and things like that. Does that matter to you? Did you have suggestions? Is that part of what you put in?
No, when I first got here, I thought the administration, friends, Derek, Matt, Todd, again, we had real open conversations, about, okay, where are things? And the first thing that was evident is nothing's broke, all right? But there's a lot of things that could be improved, a little bit here and there. And I said, one thing I really appreciated about Frisco, is the walk. One thing I really appreciated about Iowa was getting off and walking through the cornrows or the Hayden Fry walk, and those families and those parents getting an opportunity to hug their kids before the game. It was unique, and just I think we all kind of collaborated on it and came up with it together. And I think it's a neat way to bring the band, the student body, the tailgaters, and our team all together prior to when we go ED now, right? Eliminate distractions now, which happens about 2 hours prior to the game. And so I'm just excited about that. Be the first to admit, I guess, that just the helmet, I just never was a fan. So I'm really happy that we've adjusted that a little bit. And we're trying to think of ways, to make sure that this is exciting for the fan base. And we want to do everything we can, and we work extremely hard at improving things. And I'm just happy to be part of it.
Did you evaluate Cole Payton's role on Thursday, and were you happy with the way it rolled out, or looking to do some different things, or what?
Again, I don't want to give away the whole year's plan, and that you're sharp. Yes and no. I thought Jake Landry and the staff, right? This guy can throw it, and we're going to throw things that come off of the actions that he's carried the ball in. So people better pump their brakes a little bit about just coming downhill. Right, so I was really happy with that. That was a big completion, right? His short yardage run, some of those things are really good plays, and I hope that everybody in the community can embrace those plays. But when you run +1 run game, where all of a sudden you've got all 11 guys are blockers and/or ball carriers, that's really dangerous. I would have liked to seen him maybe play a couple, 3 or 4 more plays. I'm not going to comment on it, but we were working through some things with Cam prior to the game starting. And, I thought at a time or two I made the call to put Cole in after Cam had been running around a little bit and doing some things. And Cam did an excellent job of pushing through. He showed some great grit during the game. I was surprised there hasn't been any questions about that yet, because Cam Miller played an outstanding football game, and that was a lot to do with why we played him so much.
Talk a little bit about what Tennessee State does offensively. It felt like a lot of their big plays and their wins came off of making one guy miss and then running the ball 40, 50 more yards into the end zone. Where does the responsibility go for avoiding stuff like that happening on Saturday?
Well, it comes down to defensive gap control. Number one, can you make them one-dimensional, right? Because then all of a sudden you could free up a pause player or an overhang player to hang in there a little bit longer. So I think a lot of that has to do with, how our defensive front does and our linebackers. Because the more you got to adjust or add to the box, the more one-on-one situations become more prevalent. That was the one thing about the conflict that Colorado caused, right? You just couldn't, you couldn't really blitz them or say, hey, we're going to take our shots. They're just that constant conflict of matchup football. The RPO game kind of tends to do that naturally, and that's the whole idea behind it, is that you really don't have to pass pro. Get the ball out of your hands quickly when the leverage is there. I think when they get those plays, it'll be very important that we tackle the ball to the ground as soon as possible.
Coach, we've seen a lot of people talk about their excitement with Cam's play, the yards and everything. But for you, how impressed were you with his leadership, during the game, after the game, and getting these guys ready for the season?
We've worked hard at relationships over the last 6-7 months or whatever it is. But until a guy plays for you, or he's gritty. So much respect, and I have a complete understanding now why a guy almost gets voted unanimous, almost, right? I think he missed by 1 vote for captainship. This guy is gritty. He's tough. He was willing to put his body in the line. I thought he ran the ball well. And then he stuck in there, in a good environment with what was a good pass rush, and he got to the progression of number 3 a couple times. And so if Cam plays like that, we'll be a tough out on offense.
What's the kind of balance when Cam is playing as well as he is to try to sneak Cole Payton in and not like break a rhythm that you might have with Cam? I mean, what's that challenge like?
Well, I think number one, those two see it as what was the quarterback's production, on the stat sheet. They really do. They work really, really well together. So you don't worry about any kind of personality conflict or, I'm not supportive of this. So that makes it easier. But that's kind of the thing that we all have to be really aware of. Like, tailback runs, right, are so important for us moving forward because of that. Because that'll fit more of Cam's, game, the play action game, just the more conventional type football, not what would be perceived as wildcat. So it's something we have to be aware of, but it's also something that can provide, energy and punch because of the big play, because we know how capable Cole is.
So you said before the season, I'm paraphrasing here, but you need to see your best players have their best games in the biggest games. Was that example of Cam doing that?
I think so. I think that's pretty well said. He played really well. I mean, we played well, right? Like, we're +1 in the turnover ratio. We just, a mistake in the secondary. You don't score a touchdown in the red zone when you have a good opportunity. All of a sudden you're in a tight game, and that's just the differential, right? The mystery 6. So he played well.
Eddie George said today that Cam Miller's the best quarterback they faced since he's been there, and they played Notre Dame last year. So what does that say about your quarterback in this week?
Well, he better keep preparing, right? Because as he gains, that kind of respect level, kids and players hear that stuff. Okay, let's get to this guy, and they see it as a challenge, And so, we've talked a lot about putting a chip on our shoulder, and Cam's a great guy preparing. He was up there early in the morning on Monday. He was in on Sunday. He was texting me about, where's this cut up? Where's that cut up? It reminds me a lot of some of the other quarterbacks we've had here. One last one, or you guys good?
NFL scouts talked to you about Cam. You mentioned that Gray put on a show on Thursday. Is Cam in that discussion as well as some of those guys?
Yeah, I've been fortunate to be part of NFL scouts conversations. Their job this time of year starts out a lot like us going out in January. And the one thing that I've promised those guys is to really deliver accurate information on all the guys they're interested in. Cam's name usually comes up number 2 in the conversation, and they're obviously really interested in Gray and what he's done. But I think Cam's ability to function in an NFL offense, communicate NFL plays, and then when they get to see him live, he's only putting more cash in his pocket, per se, change in his pocket, credibility and trust. And so we'll see how that all shakes out.